This is guitarist Denis Taaffe, and I'm in my home studio. And recently I wanted to try something, and I'm going to give you the results of that today. I had reviewed the Boss BR80 multi-track recorder, and it's got two built-in microphones right here. And when I watch TV or watch a movie, I'm laying on my living room couch, I often have a guitar nearby, and I'll play through, a few different amps depending. Well, I come up with ideas that way, and I play both on either electric or an acoustic. Just depends. When things get boring on the TV or what have you, I can pick up a guitar and come up with ideas that usually are soon lost, forever, because I don't remember them, Now keep in mind, I play guitar and use loops, loopers, if you like, looping pedals, and all my music is improvised on the spot. Well, the little Micro BR80, the idea was that, well, gosh, maybe you could just record, right in your living room, on the couch, record those ideas and things. Little did I know that the quality was so good that you could actually create an entire album. I mean, it was really album quality, and I was stunned. And that's, just using the little BR80, no microphones, no cables to mess with, and, just plug it in and you're done. Unbelievable. And because it runs on batteries, I'm sorry, you don't even have to plug it in. Just turn it on and off you go. Now, I don't know. I was pretty skeptical. But it's one thing I wanted to try. And so I went ahead and last night, in fact, I watched a movie. Right? And I was laying on my couch. It was pretty cold out, and so I had my two cats, were right next to me on their favorite pillows, not to be disturbed, sleeping. And there were some slow parts in the movie and things. And so here's what I had. I don't know if you've ever seen this. I did a review on this little tiny amp. It's an Orange Crush 20 LDX, little solid state, tiny amp. I think it's got an 8-inch speaker. Has some effects built in and a tuner built in. Little tiny solid state amp. But has a really great sound. I mean, I totally think that amp is fantastic. And I had two of those, right? And then I had a little digitech looper, that I mess around with. So I'm running those kind of in the stereo, and dual mono, if you like, and I come up with ideas all the time. They're kind of looping things, and by the way, these little orange amps are great for coffee house gigs and those kinds of things, and the sound is really tremendous, very tube-like. Okay, in any case, so I started recording, and I'll be darned, I had to pause the movie, record so it wouldn't pick up the TV sound, on my couch there. and then unpause the movie and continue watching. And before you know it, I had almost 20 tracks. Right? So, and I thought, well, I don't know, I was a little leery. Will the sound quality really be good enough for, to do an album? So what I did is I transferred them over to my, computer DAW, if you like, the digital audio workstation, and when I got the tracks in there, I was stunned to find that the sound quality was really great. I mean, unbelievable, really. And so basically I created an album, and I guess it could be called the Couch Album, right? And I'm going to play you some of these tracks so you can hear. They're just ideas, I mean, I wasn't even thinking, oh boy, I'm recording an album, at all. I mean, it was just like, oh, this sounds cool, that kind of thing. And all I did really is I put a little noise reduction on the tracks, and then raised the levels on a couple of them. But most of the time, I didn't even have to do that. I mean, they were ready to go, as is. Hard to believe. So, let's take a listen. So this first track, at the moment is 3 minutes, Now I would add some fades at the beginning or the end, those kinds of things, to make it more like an album. And what I'll do is, this is just picked up at the, with the camera microphone, which is pretty crummy. But at the end of the video, what I'll do is I'll actually just put some of the tracks direct so you can hear what it actually sounds like, sound quality wise. Now, one thing I did mention before we start is, or what I discovered, I haven't mentioned it yet, and that is that I noticed that because I was on my couch and I just had the oranges, they weren't even set up in the right place. One was on the ground, one was even on my couch, because they're so small, the little mini oranges like that, right? Highly recommended, by the way, just for portability and quality of sound. I just never ran into an amp like that, that kind of quality, really, even being solid state. I mean, it absolutely compares, to small tube amps, very comparable to my Fender Super Champ X2s, surprisingly enough. But what I noticed is when I was playing, I had to be careful, because it does pick up, if you're breathing, or, if I flicked the lighter, it would pick all that up. So, and you can definitely hear it in the studio monitors. However, I then played it on, normal stereo speakers, and you really can't hear that very much, so unless your speakers are, studio speakers, it really doesn't, you can't, I guess I should say, you can't really hear it, alright, so let's take a listen to just, and these are all ideas that I've used here. So here we go. And that's 2 mini orange amps. And I use a Parker guitar. Now, I want you to notice one thing here. If you listen to the bass string, right there. Okay, that bass string is actually a low E string on the guitar, except what I did is I tuned it down all the way down to B. Right? So, kind of a, I guess you could say a weird tuning. It's not really that weird. And, you know, trying to get a bass sound, because I didn't have a bass guitar, you know, or a pedal or anything there at the time, you know, but I wanted kind of a bass sound, so I experimented and kept tuning it down, you know, oh, it sounds alright, pretty good at D, you know, familiar with that. Then C sharp, then C, all the way down to B. And it gave a real interesting sound. And then, basically, for this idea, I just looped it using a digitech looper, you know. And no effects. I mean, any effects would be is that reverb, you know, which is fantastic on the little mini oranges. And then just looped it. This is the result. Yeah, and you can hear that low B. And here I can hear myself breathing in the recording, but it doesn't really pick up, as I said, in normal speakers, you know, but studio monitors, you'll probably hear it. Alright. And I mean, you know, the solution obviously is to, you know, be away from the recorder a little more, because I mean, this was like just about right here. I mean, you know, about a foot away, so. Alright, let's fast forward a little bit so you can hear. And the way I operated the looper, because I was laying down on my couch, is just with my hand, you know. Starting the looper and stopping it. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay. Same thing, using that low B. And so there I've just played a part and then looped a part. Spaces right there where it gets real soft, because it took me time to get to the looper and turn it off, or have it, you know, start looping, so there's a space there. And there's no acoustic on there at all, just the electric. Let's fast forward to the 4-minute mark. Okay, now I did cheat a little bit right here. And the way I cheated was that the digitech looper has a built-in delay. And so I used the reverse delay just to add a couple notes there. If you take a listen closely, you can hear it. Very subtle. Right there you can hear it. There you go, there's the reverse. I mean, it's crazy because, I mean, that's, sitting on my couch while watching a movie, that I'm doing these tracks. I mean, it's not even in my studio room where I've got, pedal board and microphones, audio interface, all that business. It's just such a simple setup. It's just this little thing. I mean, you could do that anywhere, really. I mean, if you ever, I don't know, go to a hotel room and you want to record or something, this would be perfect for that. I mean, you could just have all that, in your guitar bag, except for the amp, I guess. Of course, you'd have to carry that in. But you could get a tiny amp, too. Anyway. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Let's just hear. And in fact, a lot of times, I love to just create loops kind of like this. Right? And just have them play, and it kind of gives the room some ambience, when I'm not, watching TV or a movie and so on. And this also lets you hear the mini orange guitar sound, really. That's two mini oranges. I call them mini oranges. I guess they're the Orange Crush 20 LDX. And they're plenty loud. There's that low B again. Let's try another one. And I'm just amazed at the sound quality. You would think it'd be a bunch of hiss and you'd hear so much ambient noise that it'd be unusable, but that's not the case at all. Let's try this one. That low B, but with a delay from the looper. I did use a delay on there. There's that reverse delay. This is very much in line with what I would do in my studio room, with huge amps and pedal board. Let's fast forward that a little bit. You know, I just did a super fast edit because it was real late at night, you know. So, you know, they may be further edited. I mean, you know, what I mean by that is basically if I hear a wrong note, then I've got to cut it there. You know, and that happens, certainly. I mean, this is all improvised, you know, on the spot, just ideas. Well, let's try another one. And this is all while I was watching that movie. I think it was called 1917. It was pretty decent. Okay. Here we go. And that's just the Parker, you know, on the neck pickup through the two mini oranges. I just love those little amps there. So there I'm on my couch. It's really cold outside, but inside I'm on my couch. I've got my cats curled up, you know, on their cushions there. You know. So I just came up with this little idea. Cool. And let's see. Let's fast forward at 4-minute mark. Adding some more guitar ideas, guitar parts. There, you hear that click? That's from the looper. Turning off either a delay or something like that. Oh yes, this goes back to the original idea. But before that, let's go back a little bit, because before that was all the extra parts that I overdubbed on it, you know, looping wise. Right here. There you've got, I don't know, 2 or 3 guitar parts, and I'm playing one of them. Cool. Now, if that's not a panty melter, I don't know what is. No, okay. But the idea is, and I never thought that this would translate, you know, that'd be clean enough to do a track recording with this, but it did. It was fine. All right, let's go on to the next one. And this is something I often do here is do a delayed pattern, you know, using the delay on the looper, and then adding parts to that. And there's that reverse delay, you know. Fast forward a little bit, 1:46 mark. So those kinds of things are ideas, and creating kind of loops, just ideas on the fly, and they translate into tracks that are not very different than what I do in the actual studio room. I'm actually playing with my pedal board and those kinds of things. So I'm really pleased, and you got to remember, all I'm using is this recorder, 2 mini orange amps, right? These little guys, right there, and the Digitech looper, which is in the other room, which is a little unit about that big, and it has a built-in delay on there, and that's it. Now if I wanted to be fancy, I could add a pedal that would give me bass, kind of like the Electro Harmonix Bass 9 pedal would do that. Pretty amazing though, not even having a multi-effects unit really, and just using the reverbs from the mini orange amps. Okay, let's take a listen to another one. Okay, now this one, I often do this too, is I'll take chords I don't usually play and try to come up with ideas that way. So there it's like as I remember, a G major 7 to a F suspended 4 chord or something like that. It's quite bizarre. Okay, we can fast forward that to 144 mark. There, I can really hear my breathing, because it's pretty soft to begin with, not very loud. It's also a great learning tool that way, coming up with ideas and trying different chord shapes, and those kinds of things, ideas. Some work better than others. Alright, let's try another one. Okay, now there I remember I just came up with, it was actually just 4 notes on a Mixolydian scale. And then I added harmonics as another layer. Another one of those kind of ambient things, and it's almost like doing these kinds of things right here, are basically just little loop ideas I have. So doing these little loop ideas, it almost sounds like a wind chimes, just gives the room some ambience in there. But here we can take a listen to it. Fast forward a little bit. I remember I'm playing this on my couch, so it's hard to get a good hand position, for the notes and things. Alright, let's hear it a little bit more. 222 mark. go back a little bit. This is where I add just, simple octaves, really. It reminds me very much of kind of wind chimes, There's the octaves. The other thing is, because it's an electric guitar and you're hitting it, if you hit the strings too hard, because it's not really loud, the microphones will pick up, kind of like, if you ever record an unamped electric guitar, or the amp's not loud enough, you can hear kind of both, the actual pick of the unplugged guitar, it almost sounds like, and then the amp, pick up. So I got a little bit of that here. Okay, and last one here, this one. More layering of ideas, just messing around. That a little bit. Let's see, 222 and this one is really, I think, based on I forget what it was, either B or G or something. Doesn't really go anywhere. It's just there's the third guitar part, just ideas. And then I got back to my movie, and that was it. In fact, I had to watch a section of the movie, stop, and put it on pause, and then just record one of these things, and that's how I made an album, right from my couch. It seems crazy, really. Now, I will say, had I not been looping, it's definitely would be harder, just because you're coming up with ideas, but you're limited without looping to only one guitar part, obviously, right? Anyway, so this is really, really cool, I think, because now at least, when I come up with ideas that I like, I might actually remember them, The other thing is, this was just using the two little mini orange amps that I have out there, with an electric guitar, Now you can also use an acoustic guitar, and same kind of thing. And that's really interesting, because when you start, finger picking several acoustic guitar parts and blend them together, it's pretty impressive sounding, when in reality, you're only playing one part at a time. Now the trick would be to make it sound like that, without a looper. But in any case, very, very cool. I'm very, very pleased. And I mean, here, I wasn't even thinking of recording an album. I just thought, well, okay, I'll make a few recordings just to see. And man, by the time I was done, and ended the movie, I pretty much had an album's worth, I mean, that's just sitting on the couch, obviously, if you're sitting down and had access, could use your feet, for the looping things that, might be a little better that way. And better ideas, you never know. But I very much enjoy doing that, even when I'm not recording. Just sitting on my couch and layering ideas and creating these little loop things, that end up being instrumental tracks. Especially, most of my music is really geared towards, film music, or at least instrumental music, and so it's really perfect for that. Yeah. Well, I guess one other thing is I have a ceiling fan, and it's noisy, and that was kind of a drag, because sometimes I would turn it off, sometimes I just didn't even bother. I don't really hear it in the recordings either way, but the fact that these are little condenser microphones, I'm sure it picked up a little bit of that. And now, what I'll do is at the end of the video, right, I'm going to put some of these tracks up, not the whole thing, so you can hear what it really sounds like, not just through the, the camera microphone. Anyway, so couch recordings are a real possibility, and even creating an album, while you're watching a movie or the news or what have you. That's pretty impressive, I think. And because it's battery powered, if you had your acoustic guitar, I suppose, you could create an entire album while sitting out at a park or whatever. Or God forbid in front of a Kroger's, trying to get money for playing. No. Yeah, you really don't want to do that. I think that'd be, But anyway, it's just basically, it's so portable and so simple of an idea, and it works, and I was really stunned. I thought the sound quality just wouldn't be there, but it is. Now if I had it to do it over again, which I will, I'm sure, I might put the recorder a little further away from my, so you don't hear me breathing on there. But as I said, it picks up in the studio monitors, which are real clear. But it doesn't really pick up in stereo speakers normally. So very cool. And really, when you listen to the whole album, it really is really interesting. Because while it's different than my studio recordings, there are elements of it there for sure, but it's different. Really interesting. Highly recommended. Obviously you can use different amps and those kinds of things. and pedals or what have you. But that's the point, I mean, I'm in my living room, right? So I don't want, a ton of pedals. I mean, I have just that looper, and that's it. Because beyond that, things start to get cluttered really quickly. Whereas here, very simple. In fact, you can have the two little amps, whatever they are. In my case, the mini oranges. Have them under, the coffee table in front of the couch underneath. Out of the way, and yet the sound is really great. So there's a simple way of creating an album on a couch, which seems ridiculous, doesn't it? But it actually works. I'm kind of stunned. And for me, so much fun, coming up with ideas, using chords you've never used before or used rarely, and then trying to come up with parts over that, and of course sometimes it works better than other times. Okay, so there you go. And I'll definitely release this as an album. I think it needs a few more edits, and hopefully I'll do a bunch more, not to neglect, my studio room and playing, through my bigger amps and pedal board and that kind of thing, but this is a thing where I can, come up with ideas and not forget them, and actually get a decent quality, And what's really amazing to me is, while I added some fades and things and brought up the levels a little bit, just mastering type of thing. The truth is, I didn't really have to do that. I mean, the quality of the recordings and the volume and everything are so good on this little Boss Micro BR80 that you wouldn't have to do any of that, and it'd still be, you could burn it right to a disc, and there you go. And the sound quality is excellent. Alright, very good. So I'm very pleased. I'm going to create an album cover of this. I think this will probably be volume 354. I still have volume 353, which has been done for a while, and I haven't released it, and I should, but I have to create an album cover for that too. Once I do, then I'll release this one as well. I wonder what I should call it. Songs from the Couch. You could call it that, Reflections from the Couch. Pretty silly. But it really is a lot of fun to create those kinds of things, and this is a different looper than what I'm used to using. A lot more limited in a way. Because with my pedal board, it syncs to MIDI and all these kinds of things. This one not at all. And I mean, I guess that's something I need to work on, as far as getting parts to mesh a little better and those kinds of things, but that's half the fun of it is, getting the gear that you have to work for you. Alright, very good. Okay, see you next time. Bye. you.